You guys know I do a lot of research. I've talked about it on The Source when I had the interview last Saturday. And as I was researching for my live show on Saturdays, which is about Frenchies and animals, I came across this article or these stories about these Frenchies being stolen and being trafficked, like human trafficking. Now they're Frenchie trafficking. They're stealing and trafficking these Frenchies, and it's a huge trafficking ring that I just found out about. Last week on my show, I did a couple of stories of these people that have had their Frenchies stolen and held for ransom, and they'll call them and say, "Give me 15,000 if you want your dog back." So last week I had a crazy ass story where a woman was on the hood of a car trying to get a Frenchie back, and the car was going like 40 miles an hour, and she just would not let go. Unfortunately, they haven't found the Frenchie yet. They did arrest the person that stole the Frenchie, and but she still hasn't gotten her Frenchie back. If you want to check out that video, it's all over YouTube anyway, and it's all over the news. But I did cover it in my last week's live show, Silly Frenchies Doing Silly Things. It's number 14. I had a couple of news stories, and then the one before that was another ransom story where a kid was thought he was meeting play dates for his Frenchie, and he had a beautiful Frenchie, a very rare Frenchie, furry Frenchie. It's a new breed. And hi everybody in the chat. If I haven't said hi, welcome. Happy to see you guys here. Chime in whenever you want. Send your comments. Let me know if you have any stories you want to share. I just thought this was horrifying to know that this is actually going on in the world. I know there's a lot of human trafficking going on, but now it's Frenchie trafficking. And I know Frenchies are super expensive. Like I said, the one that I think it was Silly Frenchies Doing Silly Things, number 13. This boy had a beautiful long-haired Frenchie, and that's a new breed of Frenchie. Gorgeous eyes, beautiful hair. They're very expensive. They can go from $6,000 to $15,000 for that type of Frenchie. And Frenchies can go up to $50,000, depending on the genes that they breed these Frenchies with. So specific genes produce specific qualities in the Frenchie: the eyes, the color of their skin, the color of their hair, their softness, and different things about Frenchies, and they can go super, super expensive. And as I was researching, I heard one guy say, Frenchies are more getting more popular. They're more like an accessory, like a Louis Vuitton bag or, something like that. So, but I came across this story that was really disturbing. And I know a lot of you guys out there have pets and animals, and we all love our pets and animals, and we do anything for them. My little girl got bit by a rattlesnake, and I spent $6,000 to, get her better, which was just outrageously. That's another scam I want to cover eventually. But this story tonight is about trafficking Frenchies, and I am actually going to read from an article. I actually found an article. Let me see if I can bring it up. It was, the story was, it was in the Florida news, but I believe it happened in San Francisco for some reason. Florida covered it, or maybe they found the Frenchies in Florida. That's what I think it is. I think it was stolen from San Francisco, and then it was brought to Florida, and that's what the story came from. So there's an article I'm going to quickly read from, and it says, theft of French bulldogs exposed disturbing puppy trafficking ring, a sheriff in Florida says. Orlando, Florida, the 6-month investigation into the armed theft of a French bulldog in West Orange County led deputies to a much larger ring of puppy trafficking and animal cruelty, said Sheriff John Mina. This just happened too. Like this is very new. The dog was stolen in March, and this story just came out yesterday or the day before. 3 men have been arrested in the scheme, which Mina said involved stealing expensive dogs to resell or breed, keeping the animals in deplorable conditions, and performing unsanctioned medical procedures on them. I can't even imagine. In their quest to find Bugsy, which is the dog that was stolen, detectives stumbled into a really chilling activities involving these dogs trafficking organization. So these few people had this trafficking organization. I'll show you some videos. We're going to go get into some videos of them. But they had no idea it would lead them down this dark and disturbing road, and I will show you those videos next. Tips in Bugsy's case first led detectives to Ronnie Baker. He's 34 years old, who was a suspect in the Manatee County pet store burglary, in which 6 puppies were stolen. When Baker was arrested in May on unrelated charges, detectives found him with a different French bulldog puppy that had fresh wounds on its back. The investigators determined the injury was from a botched removal of the dog's microchip in an attempt to insert a new one. She was sloppily and improperly sewn back up, and the wound became infected. Investigators later determined that Baker had brought the dog to what Mina called an underground puppy chop shop. And I'll show you the video to that. And the guy that runs the chop shop, his name is Bobby Rivera, and he's known as Dogman. Peers said they found medical instruments and bloody rags at Rivera's home, evidence he was conducting unlicensed surgeries on dogs, despite not being a veterinarian, as well as a dead dog and 8 dogs living in poor conditions. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I'm totally disgusted. It just makes me so angry that this is happening, and these poor Frenchies are, it's not, when I show you the video, it's not just Frenchies. They have stolen 18 other puppies, and we'll get into it. But I'll finish the story. But however, when they went to the house, Bugsy wasn't there, and that's the dog they were looking for. And Bugsy was stolen by gunpoint. So this guy was walking his dog one night, and these guys came up with a gun and stole Bugsy. But he wasn't found at Riviera's home. So working with a contact of Baker, whose officials did not arrest or publicly identify, Piers was able to track down Bugsy at another home. He said Bugsy was not injured, and his microchip was never removed. And Matos is the father or the family that has Bugsy, and says it's great to have him home, and he was tearing up, and I'm going to show you the video. It made me cry. We want to get him back to just being Bugsy. Dogs are so precious. So that was the article that they ran in the Orlando news report. And Bugsy's super cute. I guess when he came home, he kind of had some different attitude. He was a little aggressive, and he wasn't the way he was. I guess he was gone for at least 6 months anyway. But let's get into the first video of this. It's again, if you guys want to chime in and let me know if you guys have heard of anything like this going on. Keep your dog safe next to you. I have a personal experience where I lived in the city, and my dogs were stuck in, a little tiny apartment, and I would take them, when I get home, I would take them across the street to Balboa Park, and there was a huge dog park there, and everything was fenced in, and you would take your dog there, and you can let them off the leash, and then go run wild. And there was this woman there with this beautiful little 2-month black. If I ever get a Frenchie again, it's going to be a black one. They're gorgeous, and their fur is so soft, and they have these big, blue, beautiful eyes, gorgeous. Very expensive, though. I don't think I could afford one, but they're gorgeous. But she brought her little Frenchie, and my 2 Frenchies just loved her Frenchie. They were just playing and getting, running around and having a great old time. Eventually, my dogs, ran off and did their own thing, but I never let them out of my sight. I ran around with them. They were never 2 feet away from me. I would run with them. I would do whatever I needed to do to stay next to them. And then if they were really going crazy and I couldn't keep up with them, I'd grab them, put them on the leash, and start walking around with them. And then I would let them off, because that's how I kind of trained them. You know, if they started running and running and running and I was calling and they wouldn't come to me, I would finally get a hold of them, stick them on the leash, and then I'd walk them around a little bit more. And then I would let them off the leash, and then, you know, they would stay close to me. But I found that this woman was talking to a group of people, so she took her eye off her Frenchie. And I was getting ready to leave the park that day, and I heard her calling for her Frenchie, and she was calling and calling and calling for her Frenchie, and I never came back to her. And then all of a sudden, someone came up to her and said, I wasn't sure, but I saw somebody, you know, grab this black Frenchie, and there was a divide in the fence, you know, way in the back. And they saw this person with the Frenchie leaving the park, and they didn't think anything of it. They didn't know who it belonged to. Maybe it was theirs, maybe it wasn't. But it was her puppy. They stole her puppy from the puppy park, and she was on the news and everything in San Diego. This was a couple years ago. So it happens, and she was devastated. I felt so bad when I heard the news. I heard it the next day, actually. As I was driving to work, it was on, I listened to AM radio on the way to work. And anyway, that was a really, you know, after that, even walking my dogs back from Balboa Park to my apartment on 6th Ave in San Diego, I had eyes behind, like I had eyes everywhere. And I also brought some protection with me, because there was no way in hell anybody was going to take my puppies or do anything to me or my dog. So I always, you know, it was dangerous at the time. It started getting really bad downtown San Diego. There was a lot of homeless, a lot of crime. So, you know, you really had to, you know, I got out of work around 3:30, and I was back, you know, before sundown. So you can't be on the streets after sundown. It's just not safe. So anyway, let's get into the first story, the first news story. And the links are in the description if you want to go check these stories out and do more research on it. If you know somebody, or if you know, anything like this has happened to you guys, or anybody knows anything of this, please say so in the chat. I'd love to hear the experiences that everybody's, you know, been through. And I know we all love our dogs and our animals, and like I said, they're part of our family. So let's get into the first video.
Welcome back. A follow-up to a story that we've been tracking at Fox 35 about Bugsy, the French bulldog. This dog was kidnapped, and for 6 long months, the Orange County Sheriff's Office worked tirelessly to reunite Bugsy with his owners, and then they did. You saw the reunion right here on Fox 35, but along the way, the Sheriff's Office also uncovered an underground dog trafficking network. And joining us right now to talk more about the ordeal is Bugsy's owner, Johnny Matos. First of all, congratulations. Great to see you again.
Good to see you too.
I know you must be absolutely thrilled. So first of all, tell me, what was your reaction when you got the news?
I cried. I cried. I missed him a lot. I really did. I cried a lot. Me and my wife, we sat right there in the middle of the street in San Francisco and just cried.
So he says San Francisco, so I'm, you know, this is Florida, Orlando covering the story, so these guys get around. I mean, if they're going to San Francisco, and I believe the house was in Florida where they found all these puppies, that's just, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, that's pretty, to me, that's a trafficking ring, right? It's just, they're all over the place.
When you found out all of sort of the backstory of what had been going on with these dogs and about the investigation and the chips being removed, you must have been completely shocked. What were you thinking when you heard all of this?
It's crazy to think that this type of stuff is going on, and people are out there doing this stuff and treating these animals in such a humane fashion. It's sickening. It's really sickening to see the stuff that these dogs are being put through for profit. It's terrible.
Johnny, it's one of those stories too where you wish a dog could talk because do you know much about what Bugsy was doing or where he was during those 6 months? He looks like he's in pretty good shape. I noticed they didn't cut the chip out of him. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. No,
Oh, look at his face.
A lot of the details, just because of the investigation that's still ongoing. So I'm not privy to a lot of the details yet, but I'm sure everything will unfold in its timely fashion. So I'm just being patient the way I was for the 6 months and just trusting in the Orange County Sheriff's Department to continue to do a great job like they've done already. So I'm just ecstatic to get him home. It's good.
I can imagine. I saw some of the sweetest pictures of you and Bugsy, just like rubbing noses and getting reacquainted. Did you feel like Bugsy sort of remembered you and that you kind of went back to where you were? Did it take a little time?
We're still going through the process. He's still remembering stuff and getting back memories and getting reacquainted with being home. So it's an ongoing process. It is. He's made some strides, but he's still got some stuff that he's still going through. He's got a little bit of aggression that we never saw before and stuff, but that's just going through 6 months of probably hell. So
yeah, I can imagine.
We'll get him right. We'll get him right. He's home now, so he'll be okay.
Johnny, real quick, I imagine there's going to be an upcoming trial. I suppose that you're probably looking forward to testifying and making sure that justice is done in this case.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. There was, like I said, there were some people that came along when I needed to, reached out on me on Facebook and helped this process. So I'm thankful to those people. They know who they are. That helped get my baby home. So I'm grateful. There are people out there that are helpful, that are in situations that they can't reach out and show their faces and everything, but I thank them. I do. I appreciate them very much for reaching out, taking the time out of their lives and taking the risk that they did to help get Bugsy home. So I'm grateful.
Well, not only did Bugsy get to come home, but this saved a lot of other animals too, and I know you're happy about that, Johnny. So it's an incredible story, and we so appreciate you taking the time to talk to us and our viewers this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you getting the word out and helping this whole process to get it from where it's at. And I'm appreciative of everybody. So thank you very much.
Well, we're appreciative of you, and we know Bugsy's very happy now. Thank you so much. Great to see you.
Yeah. Have a good one. Thank you.
So that was the first part of the story. He actually does a news conference, and let's get into that video. It was really interesting. I felt so bad for this guy. I mean, this news conference, guys. I just felt so bad for him. He was, it was just devastating. So let's get into that.
Sound tonight, rescued from what the sheriff calls a puppy chop shop.
Among the puppies found in the cages was this guy, Bugsy. It's a French bulldog that was stolen at gunpoint in Orange County. Bugsy was stolen back in March while he and his owner were out for a walk.
Fox 35, Stephanie Buffamonte joining us live from Bugsy.
Now you know why I'm carry protection when I walk with my dogs. He was walking his dog and they stole him by gunpoint. Now, what I don't get about the story is that they said that they didn't find Bugsy at that house, but maybe they're talking about a different house. I don't know. Let's see what they say.
And Stephanie, it's so nice to see him back home with his family.
No.
Yeah, just look at him. He's having so much fun. He's playing. He has so much energy. You just fall in love with this dog. And his family is just feeling so thankful that he's back at home with them.
Hi.
Hi, I have someone for you.
It's great to have him home. It was tough.
Johnny Matos thanked investigators with the Orange County Sheriff's Office for their tireless efforts to get their four-legged family member back home.
You go on Facebook and you see different places where dogs have been gone for 2 years that have been taken, and you're wondering if that's going to be us. We'll never get to see him again, but he's home.
Matos has been feeling guilty since March when someone
Look at
took
this.
Bugsy at gunpoint.
Look at
I'm
this.
sorry for
Letting him
letting him go that way. So I'm glad he's home.
As deputies investigated Bugsy's disappearance, they found dog trafficking, pet store robberies, and what are described as puppy chop shops. Through tips, deputies arrested Ronnie Baker and Quantavius Williams. Investigators believe they stole at
Look at all the puppies. Look at them. Look at all the puppies. Some of them were stolen from the dog pet stores.
least 18 puppies in Manatee County and in the Tampa area. Then deputies were led to this home in Orange County, where they say Bobby Angel, also known as Dog Man, would operate on animals and remove microchips from stolen dogs. Deputies believe the criminals would then unload the puppies for cash or keep them for breeding. 9 dogs were found on his property. 1 was dead, and another had an infection from the microchip removal. Unfortunately, none of the dogs were Bugsy, but a Facebook post later led deputies to the stolen pup.
Be able to get such a positive outcome, and seeing Johnny's reaction, that's why it's so rewarding.
And just playing back over and over again in your head what you could have done differently to not let him get taken.
Carry some protection with you.
But it looks like everything was meant to be because we got a bunch of other dogs home.
Even if it's, spray or a bat. Or I don't know. Just, some sort of protection when you're walking your dogs. I don't know what type of neighborhood he was in, but I sure know downtown San Diego is not, the best neighborhood in the world. So I knew enough to carry something with me. And growing up the way I did in the ghetto, I learned some things. So I got a little street smart there, but it's just you can't trust anybody or anything. So, and our dogs are precious to us, especially mine are. I don't know what I'm gonna do. They're 6 years old, and I just dread the day when they're not there anymore. But anyway.
Now tonight at 6, we'll take a deeper dive into the dog trafficking operation and how investigators were able to get Bugsby here. Reporting live, Stephanie with Monty, Fox 35 News.
Can you guys imagine a dog trafficking? I don't know how long this has been going on. This is the first time I've heard of it. I don't know. Maybe it's been going on for a while now. I don't know. But, it's not only Frenchies. You saw the video of many different puppies there. It's really, really sad. And the way they're treated. And, they found one that was deceased. And just removing the chips from the dogs and replacing them with other chips. I don't. Where did they get the chips? I don't know. It's just really insane. Crazy to me. I just really disturbed over that story. So I have a couple other stories that I am going to cover this Saturday. Not so horrible as this one, but there's so many things going on right now with Frenchies. And like I said, they're the most popular dog right now. They won popular dog breed for the last 3 years now, and they won over the Labrador. The Labrador was the first, was number 1 for many, many years. And I love Labradors. They're beautiful, and they're good dogs, and they're just, they're gorgeous. But the Frenchie took over 3 years ago, and it is now the, most popular dog for the last 3 years. So, I just wanted you guys to know, keep your dogs on a leash, or if you're in the yard with them, just keep checking on them. I know I have my dogs out in the yard in the desert, and there's really no one around there, but I am constantly, even if they're out, I'm either out with them or, I'm checking on them all the time. Mostly because of the damn rattlesnakes out there. My little girl got bit, and that was a huge expense for me. And, I don't have a ton of money to be blowing like that. So when I'm there on the weekends, I don't let them outside until I scour the property. So I go out I have long boots on in the morning, and I have a rake with me. And, I go through all the bushes, and my husband does the same thing when I'm not there. He'll go out in the morning and check the property, and we make sure we trim the bushes because the snakes will hide inside of the bushes. Yeah, it's pretty scary. Although we've lived there for a while, and that was the very first time that has happened to her. But she does like to chase lizards, and there's a lot of lizards out there, and she's brought me many gifts of lizards. And they're pretty beat up by the time I get them. But she went to go chase a lizard, and she just chased it into this area where there was a snake. And it happened to be one of the deadliest rattlesnakes, the Mojave Green rattlesnake. And I didn't really know that until I actually got her blood work back. So, but what I did know is that as I was taking her to the hospital, she was dying in the seat, the passenger seat as I was taking her there. They're vaccinated every year, rattlesnake vaccination, but it really only buys them, a couple of hours, and I'm 2 hours away from anything. So the hospital was 2 hours away, a little bit over 2 hours away. I made it there in about an hour and 15 minutes. But she, it was really bad. She was in rough shape. So each bag of venom, anti-venom, is about $1,000, and she needed 2 bags of anti-venom. And then plus all the antibiotics and all the blood work charges and the stay at the hospital. And, I did end up staying. So if I didn't stay with her to care for her for those 12 hours, it would have been another $3,000 they wanted to charge me. So I said, no, I'll stay here with her. And I didn't want to leave her anyway. She was just, scared to death. She's a little thing, and it was horrifying. I have a video, and as I'm doing the video, I'm really depressed doing the video. I sounded just horrible, and that was another hard video to get through, but the venom was in her long enough to damage some organs, because the next day she was urinating, blood. And, she's great now. She's fine. But I feel like she didn't learn her lesson because she's still over there chasing lizards. So I'm yelling and screaming at her all the time to get away from that area, because I know that's where they are. They do hibernate, though. I did a lot of research on the rattlesnakes, and they do hibernate around this time of year. So they go into, they are out here and there, but their most popular time to be out and about is between April and October. They're mating, they're out, so they're all over the place. So, but like I said, this is the first time we've kind of ran into this encounter with a snake. So, but this whole trafficking with Frenchies is just, and not with just Frenchies. Like I said, we just saw a bunch of different animals, and they're little babies. They were tiny babies, and I just think it's just a shame. So I'm glad it's finally, they're investigating and doing a lot of, work on this type of trafficking, and they caught the guys is even better. So, just everybody keep your dogs close to you. We all love our animals, like I said. And again, I have a Frenchie show on Saturday. If anybody in the chat or anybody wants to have their pet featured, what I usually do is just play some videos that you have of your pet, and I promote your channel, and I just need the name of the pet and just a little history of the pet, and then I'll do some videos of it and your channel. And the show is really like, I do a news story about Frenchies, and then I go into the Frenchie or animal of the week, and then I just play some fun videos from different channels that I find and promote those channels. And then I end it with some videos of my dogs and promote my dogs on my channel. So anyway, this is kind of a short live stream tonight, but I thank everyone for joining, and I just wanted to make some awareness of what's going on out there. And if you're walking your dog on the street, make sure at least carry some type of protection if you're in a dangerous area, or if you feel like you're in danger. Always carry something with you, and luckily I always do. Thank you for joining again, and it was great to chat with you all, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.